There are jobs on a restoration this size that you look forward to, and then there are jobs like this. This isn't about paint or woodwork. This is the heart of the machine. And right now, the heart is rotten. If we get this wrong, she never sails again. It's that simple. For the past few months, we've been focused on the hull, making the Wanderer watertight and structurally sound. But all that work is for nothing if we can't get her moving. And that all comes down to this, the propeller shaft and the rudder assembly. From the engine, through the hull, to the prop, this system is what gives the ship life. But decades in saltwater, sitting stagnant, have not been kind. The problem is called crevice corrosion. It happens where water gets trapped in tight spaces, starved of oxygen. The stainless steel, which is supposed to be resistant, essentially starts to eat itself. The shaft, the bearings, the seals, they're all at risk. But you can't see the worst of it until you pull it all apart. And as for the rudder, well, that hollow sound tells me we have big problems. Water has gotten inside the fiberglass skin and rotted the core. It's lost all its strength. The first step is always the hardest, disassembly. Everything is seized. Every nut, every bolt is a battle. These parts haven't moved in 30 years. Inside, we have to disconnect the shaft from the transmission. This flange coupling is what transfers the engine's power. It's a precision fit, or it's supposed to be. Right now, it's just a solid lump of rust. While the battle continues in the engine room, the outside team starts on the rudder. It weighs several hundred pounds, and if it drops, it could be catastrophic. The real worry is the rudder stock, the main post that connects it to the steering gear. If that's as corroded as the shaft, we have a much bigger problem. The plan is to lower it onto a custom-built cradle so we can assess the damage without putting any more stress on it. And there it is. That's what we were afraid of. That isn't just a bit of moisture. The rudder is completely waterlogged. The internal core is likely a soggy, rotten mess. This isn't a repair anymore. It's a complete rebuild. With the shaft out, we can finally see what we're dealing with. In the open, exposed sections, it doesn't look too bad. But here and here, this is where it passes through the bearings and the seals. This is classic crevice corrosion. The stagnant water has eaten away at the steel, creating these deep pits. If you run your finger over it, it's sharp, like a file. This would shred a new bearing or seal in a matter of hours. Before we can even think about repair, we have to check if it's straight. Even a tiny bend in a shaft this long will cause terrible vibrations and eventually destroy the transmission. We're looking for a runout of just a few thousandths of an inch, but after the stress of removal and with this much material missing, it's not looking good. That needle jump, that's almost a 1/16 of an inch. It's bent. So we have a choice. A new shaft would cost a fortune and could take months to be custom made. The alternative is to try and repair this one. The process is called cladding or weld over. It's a job for a master machinist. You have to build up the pitted areas with new weld, then turn the whole thing back down on a lathe to its original diameter. And before any of that, you have to straighten it. It's a huge risk. If the heat from the welding warps it further, the shaft is scrap. Over on the rudder, it's time for major surgery. There's no way to dry out this much rotten core, so the only option is to split the shell. We're carefully cutting along the original factory seam. The goal is to save the two fiberglass halves, which act as a mold, but everything inside has to go. With the rotten foam gone, we can finally get a good look at the internal structure. Thankfully, the stock itself is in decent shape. It's just surface rust. We'll sandblast it back to bare metal, inspect every weld for stress cracks, and then coat it with a heavy-duty epoxy primer to protect it. This is the skeleton of the rudder. It has to be perfect. We can't use the same type of foam that was in here originally. We're using a modern, two-part structural polyurethane foam. It's completely waterproof and incredibly strong. We're cutting the foam blocks to fit snugly around the internal stock. It's like a giant high-tech puzzle. Every piece has to be perfect before we can even think about gluing it all together. This is the point of no return. Once we mix this epoxy, the clock is ticking. We're using a slow-curing, high-strength marine epoxy to bond the two halves back together. The key is to get even pressure across the entire surface, ensuring a perfect bond with no voids. We'll leave this to cure for a week. When we take these clamps off, it should be a single, solid piece, stronger than it ever was from the factory. This is the most stressful part of the entire job. Straightening the shaft was a success, but this is where it can all go wrong. We've brought in a specialist, a master machinist, to perform the cladding. He's using a special nickel-based filler wire that's compatible with the shaft's stainless steel. He has to lay a continuous bead of weld.
So the shaft runs all the way to here, right through the bulkhead.
Yes, but we need to ensure the clearance here matches the revised specifications.
Whoa, look at that crack. Oh, stop the hoist, stop it now. It's pouring out.
Filling in every pit and crater, building the diameter back up. The heat is immense. Too much heat in one spot, and the shaft will warp, undoing all the work we did to straighten it. He has to work in small sections, moving around the shaft to keep the heat distributed evenly. It's a slow, methodical process that takes incredible skill and patience. You only get one shot at this. And this is the magic moment. After hours of welding, the shaft is turned back down to its exact original diameter. This has to be accurate to within 1/1000th of an inch. What was once a pitted, corroded wreck is now perfect. The surface is brand new. Now, it just needs a final polish. It's an incredible process. We've saved the shaft.
Easy now, just a few more inches, keep it steady. Looks aligned, we're good to go.
With the shaft saved and the rudder now a solid, waterproof structure, we're finally on the home stretch. We're applying multiple coats of epoxy barrier paint to the rudder, which will seal it and provide a perfect surface for the anti-fouling paint. The shaft has been polished to a mirror finish. It's almost a shame to put it back in the boat.
All right, easy now, a little lower on the port side. Hold it there. Perfect, send it home.
Where no one will see it. This was a huge undertaking. We faced bent steel, rotten cores, and crippling corrosion. But through a combination of modern techniques and old-fashioned craftsmanship, we've managed to rebuild the entire system from the ground up. The heart of the Wanderer is strong again. There's still a lot of work to do to get it all reinstalled and aligned, but the hardest part is over. But a perfect shaft and rudder are nothing without the final piece of the puzzle. Next time on The Wanderer, we tackle the prop, and we find a problem that no one could have possibly seen coming.